Good morning, partners. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to sit with us this morning and learn more about how to market your business. Our team, as well as Hanson Dodge, are really experts in this field, and I'm excited to hear about what they have to share with you. Before I start, I want to take a moment to reflect on this day and what it meant to our country 19 years ago. The day was sunny. I was in my office preparing for our daily business review at the Hilton. I will never forget our Director of Sales, Tim Smith, running into the conference room telling us to turn on the TV. For the next 24 hours, we were glued to the TV trying to understand why our nation was under attack by terrorists. That day brought our nation together. As Elizabeth Gray stated, stores ran out of flags to sell because they were being flown everywhere. People were Americans before they were upper or lower class, Jewish or Christian, Republican or Democrat. We hugged people without caring if they ate Chick-fil-A or wore Nikes. On 9/12, what mattered more was what was uniting us rather than what divided us. We must never forget that day and that we are a nation of people who care deeply. Now let's take a look at last week's STAR report. As you can see, the downward trend continues in both downtown and the county. We are currently trending behind the nationwide occupancy, which last week was at 48%. Yesterday, Leslie held a core DOS meeting in which we went over the STAR in its entirety, as well as the forecast we had provided on a previous webinar. We went over the redeployment of our team, the process changes in reporting definite business, and our move from TAP reports to a new company called Future Pace. If you have any questions regarding our core DOS meeting, please feel free to reach out to Leslie directly. Next week, Bid 21 is putting on its annual Downtown Appreciation Week. Although it will look a bit different this year than in years past, it is still a chance to say thank you to the nearly 84,000 Milwaukeeans who work downtown and show some love and support to our downtown businesses. There will be virtual lunchtime concerts with local musicians, virtual morning meditations, and virtual fitness classes, plus a drive-in movie and discounted kayak rentals. So let's all get out there and take advantage of these activities and give an elbow bump to our downtown partners. Please make sure to check out their website for further details. Valley Week, presented by Potawatomi Hotel Casino and the Menominee Valley Partners, kicks off tomorrow and runs through next Saturday. This is a great opportunity to experience Milwaukee's Menominee River Valley neighborhood. There will be a self-guided public art bike tour, Rishi tea cocktail classes, a kayak tour, and the ultimate beer run. So head out and support the Valley's incredible businesses. I know personally, I might be found at a slot machine this weekend supporting Potawatomi. Milwaukee Film is hosting their second Minority Help Film Festival over the next 2 weeks. There are over 50 films to stream virtually right to your living room, and tickets are only $2.99 per film. This is a wonderful opportunity to support our film industry and watch some incredible movies. The 9th annual Silver City International Festival is tomorrow from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. This year, in lieu of a big street festival, they're hosting a parade throughout the Silver City neighborhood with live music from festival acts and coordinating carry-out food specials from various restaurants throughout the area. Parade route and restaurant specials can be found on the Layton Boulevard West Neighbors website. The Cactus Club has announced the second season of their virtual programming series, Digital Dream, which will kick off tomorrow and will include concerts, films, DJ sets, and workshops, and Reach Out Radio, bringing live DJ sets to you every Friday night. All digital events are free to the public, but donations are encouraged and will go directly to the artists to keep our art and music community going strong in Milwaukee. The Iron Horse is gearing up to reopen indoor dining at their steakhouse, Ash, in early October, and we couldn't be more excited to grab the first reservation when they do. In the meantime, don't forget the yard patio is open, and it's a relaxing place to grab a local beer, small bite, or a weekend brunch. A big welcome to the new Renaissance in Milwaukee West. I had the privilege, along with our sales and event experience teams, of touring the new property earlier this week, and it is absolutely beautiful. The theme of the hotel is when the tailor meets the seamstress. Its complexity and beauty transcend from the designer's eye and translate into masculine versus feminine details and structured versus organic shaping. Simple forms from the tools of the trade shape the architecture of this eye-catching Milwaukee hotel, and provide a backdrop to the visual lines that emphasize the art of garment construction. I highly recommend making a room reservation for a staycation for anyone who needs a little getaway. And while you're there, make sure to dine at their new Elder and Rhyme restaurant. This culinary experience is inspired by the Scandinavian roots in the community and features an open kitchen, craft cocktails, and a raw bar. I've personally eaten there and it's delicious. You can dine inside or on their expansive patio. We're excited to announce that both the Racine Art Museum and Rams Worcester Museum of Fine Arts are officially reopened. Both museums are currently operating under limited hours and limited capacity to ensure the safety of all of their visitors. The Worcester Museum is showcasing their exhibit, Wisconsin Photography 2020, a statewide competition organized by the museum since 1979, and it features 83 pieces by 29 Wisconsin photographers. There could not be a better time to take a road trip to Racine to check it out. Fans of axe throwing, deck shuffleboard, or miniature golf will be excited to learn that Axe Milwaukee, North South Club, and 9 Below are now available for private rentals of the whole dang place. Private, safe, and socially distanced rentals are available Sunday through Thursdays for groups for up to 14 people for an hour and a half. So grab your friends or family and get out of the house for a memorable and fun afternoon. North South was the site of our last in-person mixer in November prior to the pandemic shutdown, and it was a fun, exciting evening for everyone. After being closed since March, the domes are set to reopen on Saturday, September 26th. To keep patrons safe, timed reservations must be made in advance, so head to their website to secure your time. The Legends of Sleepy Hollow show is currently on display, where visitors can search for clues throughout all 3 domes to solve the mystery of the Headless Horseman. So make sure to bring the kids for a fun and slightly spooky experience. Visit Milwaukee is proud this year to be a sponsor of this year's 10 Days in Tosa and West Allis event, taking place from September 21st through the 30th. During these days, we encourage all of our partners to head out to your favorite Wauwatosa or West Allis restaurants. Information on participating restaurants and menus can be found on their website. Instead of the annual 5th Street Fest this year, the Walkers Point Neighborhood Association has created the Walkers Point Festival Week from September 20th to the 27th, an opportunity to head out into the Walkers Point neighborhood and support all of the incredible restaurants, breweries, shops, and art galleries in the area. More information can be found on the Walkers Point Association website. I know our team is going to be out for all of these neighborhood celebrations, enjoying all they have to offer. Next week's Friday webinar will feature Milwaukee County Parks Executive Director Guy Smith, along with other parks leaders discussing the impacts of our current 2 pandemics, COVID-19 and racism, and the effect they have had on our park system. They will also highlight the innovative initiatives that have been launched in response and ways that you and your organization can take action to support your parks and trails. Watch your emails for the registration link to join that discussion next week, Friday, September 18th. Our next Partner Cafe will be Wednesday, September 16th, and it will feature the Temple Lipizans, a full-time classical dressage training facility for Lipizan horses. As a reminder, that's a quick 15-minute chat over the lunch hour, so you can call and listen in. If you're interested in being featured on a Partner Cafe, please contact Meg McKenna in our office. Now, before I introduce our panel, I want to reiterate to each of you that we are here for you as a resource. Our sales, marketing, event experience, and partnership teams are ready to jump in and help you as much as needed to help your business survive. We have an entire resource library of photos, videos, and they highlight all the good things about our region, and they are available to you, our partners. We know that the pandemic has had a devastating effect on all of us, and we are here, and while we are here learning how to coexist with the virus, we want to help you with the recovery. So please make sure to reach out to any of us, if you need help with marketing your business, selling your business, or figuring out ways, interesting, innovative ways to market yourself. Now, I would like to take a moment to introduce our Director of IT and Digital Marketing, Amanda Berman. Amanda has been with Visit Milwaukee since 2017, and she is responsible for management, oversight, and strategic alignment of all of our digital and IT systems across the organization, as well as data and information storage, security, and compliance. Prior to joining us, she spent time at Proficient as their e-commerce program manager, Associated Bank as their digital solutions analyst, and 7 years with ASQ in digital marketing. She is a leader in the field of digital marketing and is instrumental in ensuring our data integrity. Amanda, I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I have a great panel of individuals that I'd like to introduce. 3 of our panelists are from our agency, Hanson Dodge. It's the agency of record for Visit Milwaukee, among a variety of other clients, including brands such as Keen Utility, Criminelli, Utah Office of Tourism, and more. They're a full service agency helping good brands take the next great leap. Today you will hear about digital, yet Hanson Dodge offers services ranging from creative to media and activation through web development and analytics. The agency has been working on top brands for 30 years. I'd like to start by introducing Michelle Millar, the Vice President and Group Director, Media and Activation. Michelle is the newest leader to join HD and brings in-depth retail marketing and media experience, including Best Buy and Target, as well as senior roles at Riley Hayes Advertising and Hayworth Marketing and Media. During her 25 years in the industry, she has led teams in the development of multi-channel campaigns, customer-centric planning, research and post-market analysis for clients such as 3M, American Express, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Carlson Hotels, Children's Museum of Minnesota, Delta Airlines, Deluxe Corp, Johnsonville Sausage, Keen Utility, and on and on. Her industry knowledge has led to acceptance on the Forbes Ad Council. Next, I'd like to introduce Kayla Kissinger, who is the digital marketing strategist at Hanson Dodge. Kayla is a she has been in the field for 6 years working on media plans from the initial strategy through buying and post-campaign analysis. She specialized in e-commerce and tourism verticals, exceeding annual revenue and awareness goals for multiple clients. Her why is put to the right resources in front of users at the time of interest, making it easier to find what they're looking for while driving results for brands. Her favorite thing about Milwaukee is the lake, water activities, and beaches. Welcome, Kayla. And next from Hanson Dodge, we have Casey Emanuel. As HD's resident SEO expert, Casey designs and implements search engine optimization strategies to maximize and maintain organic search visibility and authority for clients. Additionally, Casey supports HD's digital marketing efforts, developing KPIs and reporting, recommendations that help our clients identify and measure their online goals. Casey has assisted clients with website migrations and e-commerce builds across a number of industries, including B2B and travel and tourism. And lastly, we have Visit Milwaukee's very own Kristen Settle, Senior Director of Communications and Public Affairs. Kristen has been at Visit Milwaukee for the past 5 years. Her previous experience includes tenures at several Milwaukee area nonprofits, including the Milwaukee Art Museum, as well as the political world. As a Milwaukee native, her 2 crowning professional achievements are being named One of the Reasons to Love Milwaukee by Milwaukee Magazine and having a drink named after her at her favorite local bar. Welcome everyone to the panel. Okay, so we are going to start with a couple of questions just about the industry, and I'm going to have Michelle answer a few of these. Michelle, based on current marketplace movement and behaviors, what strategies exist for businesses in hospitality?
One of the things that we've seen since March, we saw everybody sort of stay at home for a brief period of time. And so there was very little mobility in the market. Over the summer, we've really started to see an emergence of people once again, especially over July 4th holiday. And this for fast casual, and hotels has really given an opportunity to take on 3 different strategies overall. People are really looking for deals, so being affordable is a really good opportunity. People need to sort of entice people to come out to eat, to get takeout, or to go and dine outside. It's going to get colder outside, so there'll be a need for more incentive to get people to come out as well. But then being close, we've seen this pattern emerge. You can see on the multicolor line chart, this is really how people are moving through the marketplace. And being close or within a 200-mile radius, whether it's travel for a local destination, sort of a staycation, or even just moving throughout their neighborhoods, we've seen people start to reemerge. But fast casual, casual, and hotels are seeing the most resurgence overall. And within that, under 200 miles, staying within that specific radius, that's where we're seeing that close proximity doing the best overall. People are really still a bit timid about going beyond that in the marketplace, and they want to do things that feel local. And then being safe. So motels or even extended stay hotels have seen more of a resurgence. One with the motels because there's easy access. You're not necessarily going through public areas and they're low touch. So that's seen a bit of a resurgence. And then with more extended stay hotels, they have kitchens and kitchenettes. So there's different incentives and things like that for how people are moving and what you can do to reassure people. So really creating potentially offers, maybe it's something from a casual dining experience offer, knowing that to market to people locally and within a specific radius is really important. And then what you can really share with people about staying safe and the sort of precautions and things like that that you're taking in order to secure them in that dining experience or that stay experience overall.
Great. I mean, that fits really nicely into some stuff we're doing with some of our hotel partners, creating packages and looking to promote some of those deals. So I'm glad we are on trend with that. I have one more question about trends for you, Michelle. How can current trends create opportunities?
So one of the things that we see emerge are different searches. And for example here, this is a Pinterest search on photography techniques. And you can see that this begins to spike in the summertime. This really also coincides with the leaves changing and fall. So when we look at marketing opportunities in the summer, we might be thinking about outdoor activities such as kayaking or things on the river. When it starts to become fall, how can we offer experiences to drive and see the leaves, to take in nature, maybe it's specific hikes and other things in the marketplace that are really advantageous overall. And this is something that can be promoted socially, it can be promoted on the web, through advertising content, through search. A lot of different opportunities exist there to take advantage of these types of opportunities.
Great, thank you. So you kind of mentioned social, so I'm gonna head on over to Kristen and ask for some recommendations on how do you stay active on social with limited on-site activity?
Yeah, that's a question that we've even struggled with here at Visit Milwaukee over the past several months as fewer people are traveling to Milwaukee. And so there's really a couple ways that you can do it. The first thing we did here at Visit Milwaukee was to change our strategy and really change up our mission. So instead of welcoming visitors, we were encouraging locals to get out and explore Milwaukee. And we decided to start telling the stories of the local companies who were still open, who were changing up their own strategies to help the community. And so we started telling those stories. We started linking to opportunities that people had to buy local, support local, get out in their own hometown. For those of us who might have needed a night away from our spouse and our kids, we were, showcasing the hotels that were open. For the parents that needed a break, who was doing takeout or who was hosting in-person dining. So, look around and see what other organizations that you may have a close connection with that you can buddy up with and help cross promote, as well as what stories you can tell about your organization. So even if, for example, you are a hotel or a restaurant that's not open, I'm sure that you have employees working for you that have great stories to tell, or I'm sure that you have wonderful photos that you can share on social to entice people to start visiting you again once you are open. Food is a great incentive for people on Instagram and on social media. We love to see food pictures and like them. So those are just some of the ideas that we had. The other thing that that we did is we really wanted to remind people about what they loved about Milwaukee in the first place. And so we would do a lot of flashback photos. We would do a lot of, hey, once you're able to travel again, or pictures of, for example, Bradford Beach, because that was outdoors and certainly something that people could do even during quarantine. So we reminded people that Milwaukee still had a lot of opportunities. So because as we did see, as Michelle pointed out, people were starting to travel again, particularly picking up in May and then, you know, really surging over that July 4th holiday. And so what can you do in the area that's outdoors? What does your business offer that is outdoor focused? Do you have curbside delivery for an online order? Can you order something online and have it shipped to you? Does your hotel have a great outdoor garden where you could take your drinks? So those are the kind of things that we've been looking at and doing. And I understand that a lot of social media staff may not be as robust as it once was, but really it only takes one person to post a couple times every day and to keep a general eye on what's going on to still be active on social.
Great, thank you. And social is one type of media channel. So from the Hanson Dodge team, how are media channels performing overall given the current state of things?
Media has really been interesting over this life cycle of this year. It's been very different than previous years. Things like podcasting, video consumption, definitely with stay at home, people were really starting to tune into Netflix, to Hulu, and these types of things really started to surge. Outdoor took a bit of a hit over this year. And so there's different opportunities and things that exist because of that. So if there's something where we start to see mileage increasing, or we start to see mobility increasing in the market, there are deals to be had from a local perspective. You can put that message out there maybe a bit more affordably than you could have in the past, or take advantage of data targeting and really target locally with that video message overall. The industry itself has been a bit repressed this year, just because people have dialed back on ad spending. So that does offer different negotiations. It offers different opportunities. The political market, as you know, is heating up dramatically. So that spending will offset up until that first week of November. And that's helping to rebound the economy from an advertising perspective. But looking at that shift in behavior and consumption, listening, viewing, audio, people are really looking for entertainment and they're looking for ways to stay connected. So social, like Kristen is talking about, sharing pictures, you might not be able to be with loved ones in the way that you could be before. And this is the way people can continue to stay connected and stay aware. So these are all good channels to continue to participate in overall.
Great. So in regard to digital advertising and different platforms, what are types of the platforms and that can be purchased at some of those lower spend levels?
Yeah, so with lower spend, one of the things we've seen is a rapid rise of self-service. So as you know, Google is a platform for search and for things that are very self-serve driven. And it's something that you can you can set your daily limits, you can purchase specific keywords, but then in addition to that, Hulu, which was once very expensive to be able to participate in buying video ads, has now also offered a self-serve platform. Spotify is offering a self-serve platform. Many broadcast partners and things that once were potentially cost prohibitive are now available at minimum levels that you couldn't have seen before. Also cable, when you think about your local footprint or radio, if you have a specific partnership with a radio station, some of these are offering great opportunities from a local perspective to promote sponsorships, to promote packages, and getting that message into the community that, hey, we are open, or hey, we do offer takeout. Really being able to get that message to connect with the right consumer. So some of it's related to targeting and using data as your best friend and making sure you're reaching just local. Other is buying the specific partner or the location that reaches that audience in that unique way.
Great. You had mentioned Google platforms, and I know Google, one of their easy to use self-service platforms is AdWords or Google Ads. So I want to ask Kayla, why should people consider doing paid search on Google? And I guess if you can also combine that with how that can potentially help organic search on your website, if you can do kind of a twofer question.
Yeah, for sure. The great thing about Google is that it is a self-serve platform, so you can definitely take it at whatever level that you're currently at for budget-wise. So if you have limited funds, you can be really specific with your keyword targeting and not spend a whole lot of money. But then it's also very easy to scale. So if you come into more budget, you'll be able to maximize on that with paid search, along with when just as a channel itself, it is very high user intent. So when people are actively searching for your types of products or services, especially within the hospitality, you know that they're interested in your city or your types of services. Very much higher interest on that, and then also higher return. So we do see a lot of conversions with this type of tactic. And then it also does help to boost your SEO rankings. So things that you are trying to rank for organically and you're just not quite getting onto the first page of that search results, you can place some ad content and then drive traffic that way, which will in turn boost the traffic to that page and then help with your organic listings.
Great. So I also wanted to talk a little bit more about some other Google platforms. So I was going to go over to Casey and we kind of talked a little bit about SEO. What are the top 3 areas to focus on to improve a business's presence in organic search in the hospitality industry?
Yeah, I kind of want to limit it to 3 because I know SEO is a bit of a scary black box to a lot of people, and it can be a little bit intimidating when you're first diving into it. So I think if you really boil it down, especially in the hospitality industry where your audience is on their mobile device, they're on the go, if you really focus on these 3 things, you're going to be in pretty good shape. So first of all, and probably most relevant to the hospitality industry is make sure your Google Maps listing or your Google My Business listing is updated. Make sure you're getting reviews on those listings. Make sure you're posting updates on your listing. As you can see in the screenshot, that local pack, that map pack takes up a lot of real estate, and it's actually above all of your standard, what they call the standard blue links, so like the normal organic listings. So that's an excellent additional opportunity to get visibility to your business. But also, what the map pack allows you to do is, attract more attention to places other than just your website. There's a button to call. Depending on your business, you might even be able to book or buy straight through the listing. So make sure you're focusing heavily on that because you want to be as visible as possible in those moments where someone's looking for a place on a map. And then after that, make sure, like I mentioned, your audience is going to be very mobile heavy. So make sure your website is easy to use on a mobile device. Make sure users can accomplish what you want them to on a mobile device. And if you're not sure about the mobile usability of your site, Google has tools like the mobile friendly testing tool that you can check out and run your site through it, and it'll tell you exactly what to fix. Or simply just make sure you're using your own website on your phone once in a while and take note of things that maybe seem difficult or just off, and make sure you work on trying to fix those things. And then lastly, the big thing with SEO is always content. You want to make sure that when people are searching for your brand and they have maybe a question about your brand, that you have those answers on your website. A lot of other, especially in like a sort of local scenario, you're going to have like your Yelps and your other like listing websites that are going to kind of siphon off some of your traffic. But if you're doing a good job of staying on top of those things that people are searching around your brand, you're going to get that traffic back. So make sure you're looking at, like Kayla kind of mentioned in Google Ads, there's a tool called Keyword Planner where you can actually just search for your brand and you'll get a list of like related keywords that people are searching around your brand. But you can also simply just do, say if you're McDonald's, you can do a search for McDonald's scroll down to the bottom of the search results, and you'll see the related searches sort of module, and that'll give you a nice list of keywords too. And look through that list and see, you know, am I actually targeting this keyword? Do I have information around this keyword? Can I answer this searcher's problem? So those are the top 3 things that you really should focus on. And I think, you know, even if they don't lead to you attracting more organic traffic, they're going to help users have a better experience once they're on your website, regardless of where they come from.
I'm going to take a quick break in the questions to just remind anybody that is listening that you can submit any questions for our panel, and we will definitely save time at the end to answer those for you. So I want to jump back over to social for a little bit. We talked a little bit earlier about, you know, staying active. Kristen, from a community management standpoint, how do you decide what comments to respond to and which to ignore?
Yeah, so that's a really great question because, you know, obviously some of the comment strings can be very, very long. The general rule of thumb that we use here at Visit Milwaukee and that we recommend is if the comment is offensive, in terms of having any kind of racial or ethnic slur, if it has inappropriate language, anything like that, the comment should come down, because that is not a productive form of discussion. If the comment is asking a question, obviously you respond. If the comment even just has negative feedback, I was at your restaurant and I did not like my burger. Well, of course you should respond to that and say, you know, thank you so much. We appreciate the feedback. And then obviously if you have the ability to reach out to that person directly in a private message and get more information, that's what we encourage. But we prefer to leave even negative comments up on our social media feed because we do want to encourage an active and lively discussion, unless again those comments are offensive, have inappropriate language, anything like that might really lead to a bad road. So those are the recommendations that we make. You have to decide based on your own individual brand what you want to leave up and whether or not you want to make comments public. Some brands choose not to allow public comments, that they come in privately. Others do. So that's up to each individual brand. But the more you can encourage comments and the more you can give feedback on a regular basis, the more engaged your audience is going to be.
Okay. And I want to talk a little bit about paid social, because we talked a little bit about staying active and community management, which are non-paid channels. But going over to the paid side of social, what types of ads work best for the hospitality industry? Kayla, would you like to? Or
yeah, Michelle, go ahead. You start.
Everybody.
Kayla, I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was unmuting myself, and that's just a whole thing. We would always recommend using ad units that are a little bit creative, includes some motion, has a story to tell, gets the users interacting with your content before they click through to the website, just because then it gives them a little bit more information, a little bit more of an interest when clicking through to your website, and you'll get higher quality traffic. They'll usually spend a little bit more time on the site and then more likely to come and visit after the fact as well. So anything, a collection ad unit or a carousel, a GIF, or anything with motion, stuff like that.
Okay, and then Kristen, on the same vein of paid from organic or like unpaid, when should somebody decide if they want to boost a post that they've just posted on their feed?
Yeah, I think you should boost posts whenever you can afford to do it. I mean, if you look at the way your social media feed works, particularly on Facebook with that algorithm, you know, it is very clear what gets the most views. So obviously videos get the most views, followed by photos. And if you just post a sentence on your Facebook page that says, "What a lovely day," nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to see it, and you're going to feel terrible, right? So we recommend boosting any kind of post that you can afford to boost. And even if it is just a small dollar amount in a very targeted area, that's okay, because the hope is that that will then gain more traction as more people start to see it. But we recommend putting a dollar amount, even the smallest dollar amount that you can behind everything. So if you are able to have a social budget and can boost your posts, then that's what we encourage you to do. You're going to get more eyeballs on it, even outside of your immediate audience. And again, with social media, you are able to geo-target where you want those ads to be seen.
Great. So in that vein as well, Kayla, from a paid social standpoint, what are some audience building tips that we can share?
Yeah, so boosting posts is a great opportunity, especially for like minimal budgets. But if you do have a little bit more money to spend, we would recommend doing an actual ad campaign, which is something that has more detailed targeting in the back end. And then you can also place it across Facebook, Instagram, different audience networks and stuff like that. So you'll just get a bigger reach with a little bit more flexibility with your targeting. Things that we like to take a look at would be using different demographics from age, location, gender, interests, people who like national parks and hiking, or people who watch the Food Network, and you can get really detailed into some of those interest categories. And then you can also create retargeting lists and stuff based off of website traffic. So if people have looked at a certain page on your website, you can retarget and use lookalike audiences based off of that. And then you can also target based off of like their recent life events. So if you know somebody just got married and is planning their honeymoon, if you know that somebody just bought a house in the area, or they just had a baby or something like that, that you can have like a relevant tie to your content, that can also be a really rewarding audience segment to build out.
Right. And in regard, you talked a little bit right now about retargeting. Can you talk a little bit about display retargeting as well? And just, I guess, talk a little bit about like how you build out and understand and know like when you should do retargeting versus when you should do like just a regular campaign.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you'll start your campaign build with more of a awareness play. So get people into your brand, tell people what you're about, and then also have like a secondary message so that once you know that they've hit your website, hit them again with, are you ready to book, or start looking at our menus, content like that. So then you can take different pixels on your website or cookies, and based off of the content that they viewed, you can then retarget them. And what we've seen is that people don't necessarily convert on their first time to your website. They don't necessarily see your website and then remember the next time that they're in Milwaukee, like, oh, that one restaurant. So having that retargeting and that continuous messaging will kind of keep that in their mind for longer, and then you'll have a higher chance of that recognition and then also that final conversion.
Yeah, to expand on that a little bit, with frequency, it's really 6 to 8+ times that somebody needs to see a message before it settles in. So it's great to have that out there, and using the Facebook retargeting, using Google retargeting, these are all great mechanisms to help reinforce that message overall.
Great. We did have something fairly relevant to this particular topic come in on the chat. So there was a question about creating targeted audiences and making sure you know how big should your population be. How do you know that what you're building as a targeted audience is going to be effective for what you're trying to do?
So that all depends on how wide of a net you want to cast. So there's kind of a sweet spot where you don't want it to be too small, and you also don't want it to be too big, because then you're going to be hitting on people that aren't necessarily relevant to what you're trying to message. It depends on your business. I know it like sounds so cliche to say it depends, but usually what we try to stick to is in a range between like 100,000 to maybe 1 million, depending on if it's like a lookalike audience. Those will tend to be bigger, rather like a standard retargeting audience will be smaller depending on your website traffic. So it really depends on both like the channel and also the targeting method that you're using, if that makes sense.
And budget, obviously, as well.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit more about taking advantage of paid search, because we touched on that a little bit at the beginning. But if you don't know really the first thing about running a Google PPC campaign, what is like the anatomy of a good ad, or some starting point that somebody kind of, when they're going in and starting, that they can know how to build out something that's going to be effective for them?
Yeah, so when you're building out your overall campaign, you kind of take a lens of, at the ad level, you want to make sure that your campaigns are split out to be specific so that you're not using the same type of ad copy for multiple different keywords, to really make that. I'm going to also kind of talk about quality score here too. So with your ads, you want to make sure that your bidding is appropriate for what you're targeting. So you want to make sure that your bid is competitive so that you're beating out some of your competitors to get those top rated spots. And then also this bid can fluctuate depending on seasonality, along with the different actual keywords that you're targeting. Some are more expensive than others. And when you're building out your campaign in the keyword planner, it will tell you like a benchmark of how much this will cost per click. Also keyword and ad content. So you want to make sure that the keywords that you're targeting are related back to your ad, which is also related back to the landing page that you're sending people to. You want to make it a really seamless experience where the content that they're clicking on, they find the answer to whatever question that they have within your website. And you want to make sure that that is also as limited number of clicks as possible for them to get that information. The anatomy of a good ad would be like, you want to have a clear call to action. What do you want them to do once you get to the website? You want to have value propositions. So what sets you apart from your competitors and what will make them want to come and visit your business when they're on their trip to Milwaukee? You'll also want to have different ad extensions. So you'll see that different keywords and different ads will kind of show up differently on the search results page. And a lot of it has to do with their ad extensions. So you can have reviews, you can have call outs, which will just be like extra little value propositions or snippets, whether you have like 24/7 desk availability, if you can check in and out online, stuff like that. And then also site links. So let's say that they search for a keyword and then you also give them a couple of extra links to click through. So then it just gives them extra opportunity to interact with your ad.
Can you give any advice on how to manage site links for a business from an organic standpoint? So when they're showing up organically, how can they control some of the site links and some of the content that shows with their main listing?
Yeah, so organically, you don't have as much control over exactly what shows. Again, like SEO is a bit of a black box. Google doesn't reveal how their algorithms work for good reason. But you know, some of the factors taken into account are what are the pieces of content on your site that you're linking to the most. That will typically end up kind of dictating what shows up in those site links. And then, you know, potentially what are other websites linking to from your website's content the most. And then you do have the ability, and I kind of glossed over this when talking about targeting keywords and keyword research, but Google does offer a free tool for organic search called Google Search Console. And that allows you to kind of see, okay, which of my pages are even in Google. You know, at scale, you can kind of see, like I mentioned, those mobile usability issues, things like that. But also within that tool, you have the ability to at least demote site links or remove site links if you think there's a page showing up in your site links that isn't super relevant, or you just don't want showing up for whatever reason. You do have the ability to at least remove site links, so you have some modicum of control there.
Okay. We do have a social question that came in from the audience. What tips do you have for encouraging people to comment on your social posts, Kristen?
Yeah, you know, ask them about themselves. I mean, people love nothing more than talking about themselves, right? So ask questions about them. One great example that I can use is the Hilton has capitalized on Millie, the dog, in multiple ways. And, you know, one of the things that they can do is say, here's a picture of our dog, show us pictures of yours. And then people respond back with photos of their dogs, and it becomes a dialogue, it becomes a conversation, and people get to talk about themselves. So not only is it you showing a picture of today's special of the day, you know, the pizza special of the day, but show us your pictures of you eating it, or show us your pictures of you coming in, or send us a picture of your sad refrigerator and we'll, you know, give you a free pizza. You know, encourage people to engage in that way. Ask them questions about themselves. Don't just say, here we have the special today. No one cares. What do we as the brand want to find out about this consumer? Because that's ultimately going to lead to more engagement in the future. So just make sure that you're doing it in fun, creative ways. If it's National Custard Day, if it's National Beer and a Hot Dog Day, you know, find fun ways to engage the consumer that are still on brand, but maybe a little off message than what people might expect your particular business to do, because people like doing that. They like having that sort of fun engagement.
Okay. So we're talking about getting people to comment. How do we grow our organic? How do we, what advice do we have for people to grow their organic likes and their community that they're promoting their just general social posts to? How do you grow your fan base on social? And I will put that out there for whomever would like to answer.
I can take that if you want. So a couple of different ways. So putting out content that people want, and if they are engaging with your brand, like Kristen was talking about, it helps build that relationship over time. And that's something that they want to follow, they want to participate in. Definitely if there's a feeling of community, or they feel as if they're getting a specific amount of information. Sometimes people follow pages because they have offers or deals, or they have the latest events, or they have information about what's current and happening now, and people want to stay in tune to that. It is a little bit challenging because with the algorithms that are out there, the organic posts don't always rise to the surface like we were talking about earlier. So putting some money behind something that does show traffic helps put that out there, and it does help build that audience as well. It helps drive that engagement, the likes, the shares overall, especially if you can get people to share among their friends or their family. You know, that helps also expand your circle. And then also using it for lead gen. So if there's ways in which sign up for our newsletter, or you could win this by participating in our community, there's different ways to help grow it that way. You might see a lot of that on Instagram. Contests or giveaways or things like that. If you tag a friend and you do something that meets a specific criteria, you can help really grow your audience in that regard too. So lots of different mechanisms you can use socially.
I would also add in like collaboration with other brands or other businesses as well, so that you guys can leverage each other's audiences, because a lot of times with that, it'll be a similar audience and there'll be similar interest. So already have that intent there.
Mm-hmm. And the more that cross collaboration takes place, then you start becoming recommended too. So on Instagram, you have all the different accounts, or on Facebook, you know, they almost show you similar to an Amazon recommendation engine. If you like this, you might also like this. And so you'll see that listing, and that's how you can help accumulate more followers as well.
Great. So I guess I have a kind of one-off question. What about some of the emerging social platforms? I know, you know, a lot of people will use Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and those are kind of the three main ones. But what about some of the more emerging platforms, like Pinterest is continuing to grow and be relevant with photography, and then TikTok is coming up. Do you have any thoughts or recommendations on how to get into those emerging markets without, without a lot of information being out there on how to do it well?
There are definitely self-serve for all of them. So there's self-serve on Pinterest, there's self-serve on TikTok. TikTok is fun. It's definitely younger. You're talking 18 to 34-year-olds. So if your dining experience, if your hotel is going after that target market, it's a great opportunity. You can run contests on there. You can do special dances, music, whatever it might be, and creating even collaborations at that point. There's alt TikTok. There's so many different forms of TikTok that exist out there. It's really sort of a fun and a little bit fascinating experience when you get your brand out there. Snapchat is another one. There's a whole brand platform within Snapchat to get special filters or things that can tie back to a certain event. Where you might want people to share specific photos and they have your branded filter there. It's an experience to go out and try things that are new, reach new communities. You don't need to necessarily build out an entire wheelhouse of that particular channel itself. You can dip your toe in, you can test some things. And we do recommend whatever your social strategy is overall, that you carry that brand guidelines all the way through whatever channels that you're a part of. Your brand voice, your tone, your sort of do's and do nots, your community management should live no matter what social channel that you participate in. But we do recommend trying and we do recommend testing because it can bring new visitors, new followers, and new people into your brand and into your dining experience or your hotel offering and things like that.
And I would add too, Michelle, that this is a great opportunity to engage other employees other than the social media team on these, because, you know, as a 40-something woman, I'm not on TikTok, right? That's not my genre, but my 12-year-old girls are. And so they're telling me about everything that's, you know, that's really, really wonderful on TikTok. So, so it's a new opportunity to engage different employees and get their ideas about what social media platforms we should be on or what they're seeing on social that you might want to engage in the brand. So it kind of brings the entire company together and allows employees to offer new ideas. And so that's what I think is really great about some of these new social platforms is that because they hit the gamut of age ranges, you really can engage on different levels. And, you know, the other thing I do want to point out is don't forget about LinkedIn. I mean, there are still a lot of professionals who are using LinkedIn on a regular basis. And so if your company does not have a LinkedIn, consider using that as a social platform too. I mean, it's not necessarily something where you're going to talk about you're special for the day, but you can talk about the achievements of your staff. You can talk about awards and recognitions, and you can get some particularly B2B recognition on things. So don't forget about making sure that your company has a group LinkedIn page that you are able to engage with that side of the audience as well.
We have another PPC question that came in. What is the simplest way to measure ROI on PPC? Give that to Kayla.
It really depends on what your return is. So is it hotel room bookings? Is it like orders off of a menu? Right. Like it's harder to measure foot traffic, especially when it comes to like restaurants and stuff like that. Something that might be an interesting take would be if you offer like online ordering. That could be something that you could set up and connect. But a lot of it would just be kind of looking at what your final conversion is and then assigning a value to that and then balancing out your cost to conversion ratio there.
And you can add values on things in like Google Analytics. So you can connect those in your analytics platform. So you can determine what actions on your website are worth. And you can add those in your analytics, and then you can connect in Google Analytics the traffic from paid search through to the value that you've assigned to that action in your analytics, and then you can also do it that way. It doesn't have to stay in the AdWords platform. It can be something that you tie together when you're doing your reporting and analytics. Casey, do you have any thoughts or advice on from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for PPC specifically, I mean, ROI is definitely a good measure, provided you're able to assign a dollar amount. I know it's much easier if you're an e-commerce company, you just get dollars flowing into your Google Analytics. But another thing to look at too, if maybe you're looking at lead generation or, you know, any non-dollar sort of acquisition, is maybe a cost per acquisition model as well. So it's basically the same thing as ROI, except you're using, you know, number of acquisitions instead of a dollar amount to calculate your return.
Did you have something to add, Michelle?
Yeah, I was just going to add in regard to PPC, one of the things that we haven't talked about yet is when you're structuring those campaigns, all the way up front, when we think about sort of the customer journey and we think about how people search, you're going to want a wide range of types of words. Some of them are going to be larger bucket words, which are much more awareness generating, and they might be more about a category like restaurants near me. Then it might get more specific, Italian restaurants near me, and further down the list until it gets very, very narrow along the way. And then tying that all the way back through the analytics on the back end so that you can see which of those terms should you be putting more money against along the way, and which ones become more valuable to you. The same thing with social, analyzing those posts and starting to see the types of posts that really start to see the return or see more engagement. It does, bringing the analytics piece into it is about measurement and starting to gauge what is delivering the best performance for me, and where am I seeing the greatest results overall. And that's a really important part of the equation when doing a campaign.
We didn't touch much on it, but ongoing optimization of your ads, your site content, your social content, like bringing everything together and really relying on the reporting data and making sure that you're making changes that are effective and that you're monitoring so you know it's working, I think is also a good element to remind people of. So we don't have any more questions and we have about 4 more minutes. So is there anything else that anybody on the panel wanted to add or include for our audience?
The thing that I would add in terms of social and ads and Google and everything is, as you're searching, see how the ads are being served up to you. See what's popping up in your feed, what purchases you are making online that are then popping up in other social media things. And then you can use that information just based on your own experience to apply to your own brand and how you want to have your audience experience things. Are you more likely to click on something with movement, on an ad with movement? Probably. So how do you want to apply that to your own brand? And I know that we've thrown a lot of marketing and social terms at everyone today, and we may not have social media experts on this call and Google PPC experts on this call. So please, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Amanda or the team at Hanson Dodge. We are more than happy to be a resource for you and to give you some guidance as to what you might want to do in the future, because we want everyone to have a strong media presence, because a rising tide lifts all boats here. So we want people to be actively clicking on Milwaukee links, because it's only going to benefit everybody the more that Milwaukee is popping up at the top of that Google list.
Hanson Dodge team, do you guys have any final parting words?
Yeah, I got one. I think going back to the discussion around the anatomy of a good ad, and just to add to Kayla's really good advice, because I think it crosses over into the organic search realm as well, is think about the intent behind the search. We probably know it as a user of Google that when you're typing something into Google, you have sort of like a sub intent or subconsciously, thinking of something else. So like as an example, if someone searches for hotels with pools, what are the different sort of sub intents they might have? Maybe they have kids. So you might want to talk about in an ad, if you're bidding on hotels with pools as a keyword, in your ad, talk about like kid-friendly hotel. Same thing with your titles or your meta descriptions for SEO. Make sure you're thinking about and putting yourself in the searcher's shoes, and try to think about what are the other considerations that might be in that searcher's mind.
Kind of building off of that too, like it's always good to test. So have a couple of different ad versions going at the same time, and you can see the performance and see what people are clicking on. So then you get a little bit more of like a concrete idea of what is that intent that they're coming with.
Okay. All right. Well, Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you to the Hanson Dodge team, Michelle, Kayla, and Casey, and thank you to Kristen from Visit Milwaukee. It's been fantastic. This is recorded, and we will be sending this out for everybody over the next couple of days. So again, if you have any questions, our contact info is on the screen, and thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.